The owner.
His name?
He's a Mr. Wancuilou.
Wancuilou?
Yeah, he's an artist.
Okay.
But he have a factory and they buy their things.
Gotcha. So the owner, whose name she just recited, which I won't try to duplicate, had his home here, and what we're in is this home. And he collected many, many things. He was an artist as well as a businessman. And we're now in a lower room. And this room now is called the room of inkstones because he collected about 900 of them. These are the inkstone, a very hard stone, I suspect, but black. And the artists who could work in this stone did some outstanding work. This is just one piece, and you see the bird is in relief. And the artist is able, not so much on this, but on another one we looked at, to gain effects, even though when you touch the surface it'll be smooth. A lot of this furniture is Qing furniture. I've seen examples of this, particularly in Beijing, in Emperor Kangxi and Qinglong's and Prince Gong in his home. You see this kind of furniture. Although oftentimes it had, and it must have been a different era, it would have inlay of ivory or something like that. It's a stone but not inkstone, all of it carved. Okay. This was actually the toilet in the house, and you can see there was a room for men and a room for women. But this was a wealthy man.
Be careful, this step.
Ah, yes.
Look up.
Ah, yes.
This wall, it looks like pagoda.
Ah, yes.
4 floors.
Mm-hmm.
A Ming Dynasty. In China means it's a wisdom incarnation. The belly, very big, symbolizes he's very knowledgeable. Only 1 foot standing the dragonfish means he's a #1. So many people touch it. And the brushing.
Yes, for artists.
If he point on you, you will be the cleverest of the world. North Wei Dynasty. Find in the yellow.
This is from the Wei Dynasty. That was during the Warring States period, wasn't it? Warring States period. The Wei. This is 1,600-year-old Buddha from the Wei Dynasty, and there were 2 other dynasties before that, or 2 other areas of China before that, and the Wei competed with them and won. I'm not sure exactly what that timing would be. Vase and the clock and the mirror are symbols.
Yes.
That in the order that they're there, they make the statement you made.
Yeah.
We have another area where the ceiling, where it's open to the sky, and this is a very beautiful water reservoir, if you will, so that it doesn't really get rid of the rain but keeps it. But as we look up, we get a sense of what a pretty view this is. And like the pagoda, it gets smaller as you go farther up. But the view up would be interesting. The view down would be interesting, I would think. Here also is a well underneath that drumstone. Okay, here we have a collection of implements that were used by farmers. This one we've seen before, and what in fact it was used was to move water from one lower terrace to the higher terrace. And those 2 devices on the wall were simply handles that made for easier rotation by the farmers who were using this. Presumably there's another handle on the other side. This kind of coat were considered raincoats because apparently they could shed water well.
Put here and press it. The
like
juice will pour out.
Juice. Oh yes, yes. Wood. And this for making cookies?
Yes.
Yes. Somehow those prongs standing up that we've seen just allowed the farmer to carry probably different products in different ways. No big surprise, just a loom or for winding the thread onto a spool, if you will. Just a pretty little lamp. So here's a much more sophisticated and here an even larger device for swatting clothes. Now they just use a piece of stick. So these very pretty cylinders are candle holders. This probably for what? Swatting flies? Are these very old or are these new?
New.
Yeah. Here a very elegant bird cage like we sometimes see in the cities.
Just like this. They're dressed. The here. The mirror put here and press this.
That was a bird. This is not only for bird, but it's a bird trap. So that I think she did it somehow. Anyway, how did you do that? Oh, yeah. So this hands back like this, and then the bird stands on it, and it falls and traps the bird inside.
Just like this.
Like this.
And the mirror put here. And the
Yeah. So this is interesting. These are a fossil, 70 million year old fossils of a tortoise eggs.
Not eggs, tortoise.
So these in fact are the turtles themselves. You can see the ridges, I guess, in the scales on their back right there. But what's interesting, where are their feet? Don't see any feet. If they're exposed, they're probably broken up.
Baby's head. The women's shoes. In ancient was bind feet.
Yes.
Very small.
Yes.
3寸金莲.
These are some of the shoes that were used to bind a woman's foot to make them so very small so they could actually hardly walk. And these are fossils of dinosaur skulls and so forth. These are gold and silver embroidered fabrics from the Qing dynasty.
Yes, ladies' clothes. Cixi, you know? Cixi.
Oh, Xici?
Yeah, he said this chair.
Really?
From Shanxi province. Cixi 的宝藏。清代.
So this is called a young girl's chair, but principally because she could look down from here at the men beneath and choose one that she might want, which is interesting in a society that might well have chosen for her.
Story, history story.
So this is actually a wood carving from the Tang dynasty. The
1000.
rock looking texture comes from the paint. And how old is it?
1000.
1,000 years old.
Chinese character Shang. In English was a merchant.
Okay.
The shape looks like. Because the local, a great many people was a merchant. So they designed the door looks like a merchant.
Qing dynasty ladies' chair.
Yes. Bronze. 3,000 years old.
Really? Shang?
Shang, yes. Shang dynasty.
And that also?
This made of clay.
这是
这是清代的一幅画，9000岁，天官赐福，像这对联都是老。
So this was the living floor, the third floor of the family. So it would include bedrooms. This would have been like a living or dining area. Dining.
Ming Dynasty, the wood carving.
Was it painted originally?
Painting.
This is a beautiful round table.
可以完全分开的，非洲男人外出经商的就分开。
And the chairs. This presumably is where the family ate. And then the theme of the vase clock and the mirror. And what does the phrase that stands for? Did you say?
Pardon?
What are the words that they stand for?
The lifetime was peaceful.
Lifetime was peaceful.
80 years old.
From where?
Made
What?
in China.
Oh, made in China.
Yes.
Okay.
佛堂，现在佛龛供是多少？每一层这个位置上都有佛堂。
就不能侵犯。
So the man on the right was the owner of this.
Pardon, please, sorry.
What was that area down there? That
This,
where that window is.
yeah, inside there was a room.
Another pagoda. I mean, another Buddha.
No, not a border.
And this was the owner's rooftop garden, which had to be one of the most precious places in his entire home, I would think, because it is so comfortable and relaxing. And there's the little stand of bamboo. Here a very pretty bonsai. You can't call it a plant, it's more of a tree setting with several different what look like trees and grasses in it. Very pretty. So those symbols mean good luck come from east, and this is the side of the house that would have faced the east. So presumably if there's another area like this on that side of the house, the owners could choose to sit in the sun or out of the sun. And they would have had pretty views, because probably none of these big tall buildings, of course, would have been here. So the views would have been... Now we're on the very top floor. And try to imagine as I video down what this would have looked like at any of these floors if it were raining. And the water would be hitting on these tiles and falling straight down past you, down to the first floor, 4 floors beneath. So here, a slight difference from before. This has a sheep, which means peaceful or lucky. So we have a lucky, peaceful life. And as the owner well knows, success also includes luck. Here's a closer look at these support beam devices that we've seen for the beams on occasion. Beautifully sculpted. Notice that they're standalone pieces, and then this arrangement here allowed them to be fitted into the column and thereby provide the support as well as the decoration. Notice here a reclining chair. And as you look at this table and what looks like a chair, it actually functioned like a bed. And the little table there was just for people sharing tea, and when they were done they'd put that down on the floor, and whoever or both people who used the bed would do so. So here's another use of those round tables that we saw. Not a use that was ever intended for the American tables that we have. And this also could have had leaves in it. This is an example also, I think, of the ink stone carving, but it's very much analogous to what we would do today in having a photograph. It's just another device available to them in a very unique art form.
Carving the lotus, frog, leaf.
Very pretty. This beautiful carved piece of furniture is a screen, oftentimes standard in Eastern cultures, in front of a doorway to block any kind of evil spirit so that you walked around it to get into the room. This is a very large and, as she says, most wonderful stone. What's interesting is you look at it, you get a sense that this has texture here, but when you feel it, it's just smooth. There's no texture whatsoever. And this little block here, I believe, is the artist's signature or the signature of the owner.
The stamp.
Yes.
The covered stamp.
Yes. This is the museum, or in fact the owner's home, from the square down below, surrounded by buildings that probably were not there before. Certainly the noise level was not there. He still occasionally lives here on the 3rd floor. The guide does live here, and the rest of the time he spends in Guangdong. He's 64 years old. This is some more inkstone carving. Most of these are palettes for painting calligraphy, but some of them are just plain pretty vases for probably putting water and goldfish or whatever else you want to put in there.